Hello, my quilting friends. My name is Leah Day, and today we are comparing QCT to QMX. And this is super important if you have a little rebel. This is the one machine that you have two choices of computerized quilting systems. You can put your machine on the QMX system. It's compatible with the Cutie Breeze frame, and this system moves your machine carriage. It steers your machine around, enabling you to stitch all kinds of computerized quilting designs. And it's a very simple interface, and it comes with the tablet, so that way you don't have to get anything else. You just need your little rebel, the Cutie Breeze frame, and QMX for domestics. And we're going to compare this to QCT, that's Quilter's Creative Touch 6. And this is our older legacy computerized quilting system, and it is compatible with all of our Grace frames. So let's say you had a little rebel, but you had a Q-Zone Queen frame, you could use QCT on that frame instead. So what are we going to compare in this video? We're going to talk about price, which is always the most important thing to talk about when we're thinking about computerized quilting, because this can get really expensive. We're also going to talk about quilting. What can you actually quilt with these systems, and how do they work with your machine? Because they are very different, and that is something that's going to be important for you to think about, how this is going to work with your quilting habit, with your hobby, how you want to have this flow as you are stitching your designs. And the third thing is growth. Which system is going to allow you the most growth, that's going to allow you to continue to innovate as a quilter and be able to quilt the quilts you want to make next. So that is where we're going to get started. Let's begin with price. So QMX for domestics is much more affordable. It is set at a lower price point, and it includes the tablet that is going to run your software. It already comes preloaded. It's much easier and faster to dive right in. QCT, on the other hand, is a little bit more complicated. It's a much more robust software, and we have simplified it. Whenever we updated to QCT 6, we added a new edge-to-edge level, which is so much easier to get started with. And I really think it's the absolute easiest way to do simple edge-to-edge quilting, especially on a hoop frame. The one thing about price-wise with QCT is it is more expensive, and you have to get your tablet separately. So you have to go and source your own Windows-based tablet to run the software. And you got to make sure that it's going to be compatible and that it's going to be able to fit within the tablet bracket. Now, if you already have a Microsoft Surface Pro, that is the type of tablet that I have used for years. They work great. So if you already have one, or you can buy one used, I personally use the Surface Pro 6 and the Surface Pro 9. So price-wise, if you're on a tight budget, you know the little rebel is the machine for you, you're going to want to go with QMX. But is it going to help you do all the quilting that you want to do? That's our second thing to compare. So quilting-wise, when you get started with QMX for domestics, you're going to be able to place blocks, you're going to be able to stitch simple pantographs, and you're going to be able to stitch straight lines on your quilt. Now, the simple pantographs are the thing I really want to talk about most, because this is one of those things that is really essential to understand. The pantograph system within this are set to an aspect ratio, which means that whenever you set the height of the design, let's say 5 inches, whenever the design was programmed, whenever it was digitized, let's say it was 5 inches by 5 inches, it was a square design. Well, it's going to lock into that ratio, and it's going to propagate as long as it needs to, as long as it can fit in your frame. It's a little bit complicated, but basically, I have found it a little bit harder to fit designs into specific spaces when I'm using QMX for domestics. It takes a little bit to get used to. Understand it's going to be harder to stitch a pantograph, let's say, as sashing between blocks, because fitting the design in is going to be a little bit trickier. Now, we're going to compare to QCT6. Your base level of the software allows you to do super easy edge-to-edge quilting. So you're not going to be able to place blocks in specific spaces. You're not going to be able to stitch straight lines. You're only going to do edge-to-edge quilting. But this is an additional thing you can do with QCT6, and that is upgrade it. You have actually 4 different levels to QCT6. You've got your base level, that's edge-to-edge quilting, QCT6 Plus, and that allows you to place blocks, do more complicated pantographs, and make a pantograph, like chain designs together and fit them into a specific space on your quilt. I actually did a quilt along for the basket weave quilt, and you can see how you chain designs together and place them into specific spaces. It's really, really cool, and it fits the design in so it looks exactly right. This is something QMX can't do. And it's one of those things that I think, I really love it. I love to be able to do that. It looks very, very beautiful, and it's gorgeous custom quilting. So this is one of those things that I probably wouldn't want to give up QCT 6 at least plus level because I love having that ability. You can also go even further with QCT 6 Pro and Gold Card, where you have the ability to place multiple blocks at a time, which saves you a lot of time with placement, and you can do pattern eclipse. You can clip out designs around things, around shapes on your quilt, let's say appliques. That's a super, super cool feature. It's one of my favorite things to be able to do. So you're going to be able to do less with the base level of QCT 6, but if you upgrade to the higher levels, you can do so much more. So that's something to think about as far as where you want to go and grow as a quilter. And this is another big thing when it comes to the quilting process, and this is something I really want to emphasize, is these two systems run differently. QMX for domestics is it's a machine driver. It's not actually linking into your machine. And this is something that's important to understand, because if you had a different home sewing machine, let's say you had a Janome 15,000, you could use it with QMX for domestics, because all you need is a start-stop button, a speed selector, and a needle up, needle down. As long as you have those three things, you can use QMX for domestics. It's going to steer your machine around. It is driving the carriage. Here I'm running it and I don't have the machine running at all. And you can see it still works great. It is moving the machine carriage in that pattern to make that design. Your job is to stand there and hit the start button to start the machine, and be there at the end to hit stop when it's done. And this is really key to understand, because this is not going to be a system that you can set it and forget it. You can't walk away. You're going to have to stand there and kind of babysit your machine and wait for it to stitch out, so that way you're on hand so you can hit stop. And this is something that for me, as a really busy business owner and a mom, I'm not always focused. I'll just be perfectly honest, guys. I'm not always on the ball when it comes to turning off my machine and clicking it off at the end of a design. So I have to really remind myself, hey, I'm quilting with QMX. I need to stay right here. I need to make sure I'm going to be here to turn off the machine and stay focused. QCT, on the other hand, does link in. It links in to your machine. It needle ups and needle downs for you. It also is the stitch regulator, so it is going to be speeding up and slowing down your machine too. So all of those things are regulated within the QMX system. And so at the end of a design, it's going to stop. It's not going to keep stitching. You can set it, you can forget it, you can walk away. You can run QCT more like an embroidery machine, where it's just going to stitch and then it's going to stop. And obviously you don't want your tablet to run out of power, but you could be doing other things and then come back and reset the design, advance your quilt, etc., and then you're ready to go. And this is why QCT 6 is only compatible with our Little Rebel and Grace or Qunique long arms. Now, something to emphasize is that this is compatible with all Qunique long arms. Our oldest ones going back to the 14 plus, our newest ones going to the 21X Elite, the 16X Elite. All of our machines are compatible with QCT 6. So it doesn't matter which machine you're running from Grace Company, you're going to be able to use it and be able to steer the design. QMX for domestics is not compatible with our long arms. And this gets us into our third thing to compare, and that is growth. If you want a system to grow with you, I personally think you're probably going to want to go with QCT 6. The reason is you can upgrade it. You can start with the basics and be able to do super easy edge-to-edge quilting. The edge-to-edge quilting with QMX is a little trickier. There's a little bit of math involved. I'm working on a batch of designs that are going to be a lot easier to stitch edge to edge simply because of where they start and stop and how you can more easily calculate that and that spacing and getting that right and keeping it consistent across your quilt. But with QCT 6, you have that edge-to-edge system built in. It creates marks at the end. It helps you advance your quilt on a hoop frame. It is so easy to use, and I can use it and I don't have to think. And I love that because I want to be able to just stitch it, have it be perfect, create my quilted fabric, and move on to the next thing. Like, I want to finish my quilt quickly, so I'm going to use QCT 6. When I want to do something more complicated, when I want to do custom quilting, when I want to stitch out a design and cut it out around that circle or that butterfly shape, that's when I'm going to use the higher levels of QCT 6 and pattern eclipse. If I have lots of blocks to place, I'm going to use multi-pattern placement. And the wonderful thing about QCT 6 is it's compatible with all of our frames, even some legacy older frames. And it's compatible with all of our older Unique long arms and our newer Grace long arms. So all of that compatibility is built in. So yes, there's an additional cost. And yes, there's an additional learning curve when you go to the higher levels. But as far as growing with you for as long as you're wanting to go and as complicated a quilting design as you're wanting to create, I think QCT 6 right now, August 2026, is the better investment. Keep in mind though, it is going to be expensive, especially when you have to purchase your tablet separately. But if you're on a tight budget and you want somewhere to start today, you love the idea of having the machine stitch it for you and be able to stitch some perfect blocks in that quilt that you took a really long time to piece, and you already have the Cutie Breeze frame, or you've already been thinking about the Cutie Breeze frame, and you love your little Rebel, then QMX Domestics is going to get you started on the right foot. And I think it's going to be a great place for you to get started and have so much fun with computerized quilting. So either way you go, as you can see, I've got both of these systems set up here in my shop. I love using both of them. I have a blast of them stitching out. I have one going. The QCT is a little easier to start up and let go because, of course, it's going to stop itself. I have to baby my QMX system a little bit, just simply because it's not going to stop. I have to make sure I'm right here ready to turn off the machine running. But I love having both of them set up and being able to compare side by side what they can do. And I love computerized quilting. Of course, free motion quilting, stitching on a home sewing machine, all of this stuff is so much fun. But being able to also digitize and create perfect computerized quilting designs, stitching a spiral just exactly right, I love that too. I don't think there's a right or wrong here. I think it's really going to be where you want to go and grow as a quilter, how you want to quilt your quilts. So I hope that this video has helped you compare. This is going to be something that you really only want to think about if you are going to get a little Rebel sewing machine. And FYI guys, I will be sharing more about this very soon. We have a version 2 Little Rebel. It is out now, it is available, and it is absolutely amazing. So now is the time. You are looking at computerized quilting, or you're just looking for an amazing sewing machine with a 13-inch throat. Come and check out QMX or QCT and the Little Rebel at leahday.com. Until next time, let's go quilt.